live once again, another Friday. How you doing, Coop?
What up, fam?
Oh man, I'm straight, man. Just out here in Cleveland, man. I
Yeah, you
should be
still up in
back.
Ohio.
Yeah, man. But things are good and
It's good.
can't complain. But
Good. It's
we
cold as
got
hell up there, ain't it?
it's freezing, man. It's a little bit of snow or whatnot too. We got a lot to talk about today. I mean, wasn't no new music, so another list. I know last week we kind of covered Kendrick Lamar's top 25 hip hop albums or his favorite albums or
Yeah.
whatnot. But this week, Funk Flex went on Gilly's podcast, or actually Gilly's IG Live, and start talking about everything from Drake not writing his Blackberry freestyle to the fact that he felt like Drake is actually better than Jay-Z, but the only thing keeping him away from that is the reference tracks. So he threw out his list again. Let me go ahead and go over part of this list.
I
Funk
was about
Flex
to
had
say,
his top 550 living MCs, and he had Jay-Z, Andre 3000 at number 2. Jay-Z was at number 1, excuse me. Nas at number 3, Rakim at number 4, and Drake at number 5 with the asterisk questionable pen. And so that brings about a whole bunch of questions. Shout out to everybody coming in the room.
what up,
We want to
people?
get more people in the room. Dag, you froze again, man. I think that's something going on with my connection.
I'm
But
frozen right now.
yeah, you're frozen right now. Shoot. Anyway, you'll probably get back. Actually, you know what? Go out and come right back in. Is that gonna work?
Yeah. You want me to call in?
Yeah. Go out and call right back in. But yeah, for
Consider it done.
everybody coming in the room, yeah, y'all keep coming in. What do y'all think about Flex's list where you got Drake at number 5? Can you be a top 5 MC and have a questionable pen? What's up, y'all? What's up, everybody coming in the room? We getting my back in, man. We getting Coop back in. Let's see. We got Coop back in. You moving now? All right,
Yeah.
cool. We
Victory.
back. Seamlessly.
Praise him too.
Yeah. So anyway, first of all, what do you think about um, Drake being in Flex's top 5 with a questionable pen? Like, do you think that anybody who doesn't write their rhymes is even in the conversation, or what are your
That's.
thoughts on that first?
I mean, as far as the Drake thing, I'm having trouble. Like, isn't saying he's top five that he has a questionable pin? Like, isn't it kind of like an oxymoron?
It is. And I know you brought up offline that Scarface isn't on this top 50 list at all. Method Man's not on this list at all. Prodigy's not on this list at all. And, Flex is in his 50s and he's from the
And
Bronx.
CeeLo. And
CeeLo.
CeeLo and Big Boy.
CeeLo, Big Boy. Yeah, Andre 3000 is number 2, but Big Boy's not even on the list at all. There's no Scarface. Yeah, somebody in the room said no Scarface. Yes, here's the whole list. You got Remy Ma at number 25. You got
Hold on. There's no Light, Latifah, Kim, or Foxy either.
none of that. But
None of
yeah,
that.
it was really. Let me go back to the actual list so people can see it that are coming in the room. I think it was really eyebrow raising to me the fact that he's from the Bronx, had KRS at number 11, and you got Drake with a questionable pen at 5. That was one of the things that really stuck out to me. Somebody said Cube. I think he had Cube at number 38, which was crazy to me too.
I think I don't have a problem necessarily. At this stage, I probably have KRS somewhere around 11 too. So I don't think it's necessarily the fact that KRS is 11. I think it's having people like Drake and even J. Cole ahead of him.
Someone said that Flex is trolling. You think Flex is trolling, or you think that he's trying to have an even-handed list?
I think he's trying to have an even-handed list that's just like a little bit too old school. Like it's got a little bit of blend of everything. It's pretty
Right.
much got it's a timeline of everything pretty much from 81 till now. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
like Melly Mel and Grandmaster Caz made the list too. And you and I were talking
Yeah.
earlier today because I was doing my Rakim run. And, that was Grandmaster Caz was Rakim's favorite MC and biggest inspiration. So, like, he made the list. But, I mean, how many people that we're talking to right now even know who Grandmaster Caz is, Mike? I mean, just being honest.
I mean, to be real though, I mean, it depends on like what the criteria is, right? Because if we're talking
Well, no,
about actual records,
it says skill level at the top, like right
okay,
under it. It says skill level, parentheses bars, body of work / impact. So the body of work is where I question a lot of these choices. And I mean,
yeah.
because how can you say body of work matters and not even have Face in the top 50? Like that's completely absurd. He has a top 5 catalog.
How can you say body of work and have Remy Ma at number 25?
I was thinking the
How
same
can
thing
you
too.
say
I was like,
body
well,
of
where's
work
that?
and have
And I
Andre 3000 at number 2?
and I like Remy, but it's like to have Remy at 25 and Light and Latifah and Kim and Foxy are nowhere to even be found on the list. It's like that's not no. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't agree with the female choices except for Eve. I would say Eve would be like borderline, but I think she would suffer in terms of body of work because I'll tell you what,
yeah.
like I like Eve and Foxy more than I like Kim, but I don't think Eve and Foxy would make this list, and I would put Kim in because it says body of work impact.
Now if
Even
you,
Foxy, even Foxy didn't have the impact or the body of work that Kim did, even though their
yeah.
skill levels, bars are at a higher level in my estimation.
Now if we're gonna put a questionable pen person in, and we talk about body of work and we talk about impact, I mean Kanye West has to be higher than that. You know, and honestly, people can say
Made
whatever
more
they want
classics than
about
Drake.
Kanye's questionable pen stuff, but you could tell when Kanye is Kanye, right? And you could tell when
I
he's
mean,
had help. And honestly, I don't even care if he has help because he's a producer. You look like you're feeling different about that. But the fact
I'm
that
somewhere
Kanye,
in the middle.
I have no problem with anybody writing Kanye stuff, but I feel like if you talk about Kanye, I feel like the college dropout, I don't feel like he had any real help on there. And you
Where
have, go ahead.
where do people say that he had help? That's what I was about to ask you.
I think people say that he had help around the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy time period where Saha came in and was, penning some of his stuff. And, maybe some of the 808s and heartbreaks with Kid Cudi and things like that. But mostly Saha. I think that
Not high with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Saha with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Life of Pablo, I think that Saha gave him some help. But again, if we talking
Okay,
about,
so
go
here,
ahead.
here, well, here's what I would submit to you. I mean, his My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is his best piece of work, isn't it?
That's what some people say. I honestly feel like if we talking about on a production level, and it's funny, I had this conversation yesterday. I think on a
Oh, really?
production level, an overall piece of production work, I would say yes. But I think that the college dropout is his best piece of work. It's raw. He's not at his best skill level, but he's telling you his life.
So,
And songs like "We Don't Care What People Say," like you don't
yeah,
get those
I love
things on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. You don't get Family Business on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
No,
You
there's
don't.
like that.
It's
That guy's
polished.
dead. Like the media and fame killed that guy.
Yeah.
But okay. So here's my feeling, and here's what I mean. I'm somewhere in the middle, even with that. Most people think My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy or The College Dropout are his best pieces of work. I actually think it's Late Registration because it has a whole lot of both. It has some of that young Kanye still in there,
Uh huh.
like that clever, young, naive, but like still very wise nuances, like to the song making and even to the
Yeah.
titles of the song and the conceptualization of it. But production wise, he had stepped it up a notch and learned how to orchestrate and make stadium music. But he had help production wise
He did
uh,
by
with
John Bryan. Yeah.
John Bryan, who had worked on like Fiona Apple's stuff and
No,
some
somebody
other.
had a question for me in the chat room. I'm sorry not to cut you off,
No,
but
go ahead.
Christiana said, "Why is it okay for Kanye to have a ghostwriter? What the fuck?" Well, Kanye, I view him as a producer first, and that's the
He
thing.
is a producer
He's a
first.
producer first, and we have
Yeah,
no problem with Dr. Dre having a ghostwriter because he was the producer. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And so if Kanye is being the artist that he is overall and saying, you know what, I'm gonna produce this whole thing and I'm gonna let one of my guys write it, I have no problem with that. But if you
How
didn't
about,
produce anything and you just walk up in the booth with somebody else's rhymes, I think that's an issue.
hey Mike, if he wrote The College Dropout, Late Registration, and Graduation, like just by himself, inherently unto himself, he deserves to be on the top 50 list. So we can take the questionable pin off. The artist does.
Yeah.
Just off of those 3 records, even if we take My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy off the table, off those first 3 records, he deserves to be on the top 50 list MC wise.
Mello says, let's talk about Drake questionable pin. I mean,
we just did, didn't we?
We did.
I think.
We
need to go back
you know
in?
what?
Do we need to go
In
back
short, in short, I would say
Right.
that if anybody, if there's a question and we found reference tracks from you, you can't be top 25. And now, if that is why Flex left off Lil Kim, I can understand that maybe. But
What? Hey, Mike, what is Drake top 50? Is he top 50?
Drake?
That was gonna be. Yeah, because I mean, just for me, even Mike, listen to the names that he's standing next to that are like right before him. It goes Jay-Z, Andre 3000, Nas, Rakim. Like, you don't think that that's like a major drop off in skill level when you get to Drake at 5? Like, what?
Some people would tell you that Drake, does have that level of skill. I don't see it. I mean, if we could actually pull out some verses that were quotables or anything like that.
Ever. He's the best hook writer in hip hop history, in my opinion.
I think that he's if we talk about as a hip hop artist, he's very similar to LL in that way. Like, we hold him high because of the hit records that he has, but I think LL still has more quotables than him.
No, LL has more quotables, but Drake has more hits at this point.
Somebody asked if Common's on there. I think Common's like number 36 or something like that.
Yeah, Common's on the back end.
All right, well, let's talk about Andre 3000 being the number 2 and Andre being put over Nas and Rakim. Like, what were some of your first thoughts on that?
Today was actually a good day because I got to listen to Rakim mostly all of the day, and then Nas kind of like on the back end of the day because, Mike, you know what impartation is, Mike? It's like when somebody like who you spend time with and like build things with, like the things that they say and that they do, like have an effect on you. Like, I was feeling imparted by you, like when I saw this list, because it's like I keep telling you that Andre deserves to be in the conversation, but when I saw this list and I saw him at number 2, I was like, whoa, like hold on, like how did he get the number 2? Like, because like we argue a lot of the times, and I know this is a top 50 living MC thing, we argue about Big not being able to be placed so high because his catalog isn't that extensive. And
right.
Andre doesn't even have a solo catalog. And so my main problem with this is that he only really, he would score like a 1 out of 10 on body of work. Like, if all of these were being rated on a score of 10,
right,
skill up the bars, 10 out of 10. But guess what? You know who else would get a 10 out of 10? Nas, Rakim, Jay-Z, Impact. You know who else would get a 10 out of 10 if you were to give Andre a 10 out of 10? Nas, Rakim, Jay-Z. And then you would go to body of work. And Mike, I'm going to tell you something that I did today. And I listened to Rakim specifically because I already knew, because of the types of careers that they had, that I could come up with 25 songs that Nas and Jay-Z had written totally by themselves without a hook, Mike. And when I mean without anybody else on it, I mean even without somebody singing the hook. So songs like Can't Knock the Hustle are not even on my list. You get what I'm saying? Because Mary's singing on that hook. I'm talking about like it's you from beginning to end. And part of the reason why I did that, because you and I know most of Rakim's catalog is built out that way. It's like you get Rakim, you get nothing but Rakim. And so I kind of based it on that. And I came up with 25 songs from each one of these guys. And with Nas and Jay, you could probably double that and do another 25 where it's just them and nobody but them on the record. And I say to myself, like, Mike, these records that I'm listing are some of the best rap songs and some of the best lyrics ever. And it's just a simple fact that I got to side with you. Andre doesn't have this. Like, Mike.
Jay, let me go back to the comments real quick. I'm going to let you finish. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Jay, shout out to Jay, man, back in the building. Jay says 3 Stacks is overrated. Y'all don't even know if he can carry an album alone, but hold him so high. Yes, I agree 100%. I think Andre, and I hate to say it, Andre's my guy. Andre's overrated. We forget an album, Jay. We don't even know if he could hold down a 3-verse song on his own.
That's what
it's never happened.
Mike, that's why I made it a point to list 25 songs from the other guys that are right there with him. That is literally just them on the verses and the hooks. If there's a hook, like a lot of these songs, the hook is the DJ scratching
Right.
or a sample put in. But as far as anybody else on the hook even singing, I'm talking about like these guys. I mean, Mike, I know you got soul, paid in full, my melody, Eric B is president, I ain't no joke, follow the leader, lyrics of fury, microphone fiend, let the rhythm hit him, in the ghetto, mahogany, no Omega, know the ledge, casualties of Mike. It's not fair. It's not fair. Like it's an unfair fight, and so like the people that are saying like that's why I keep saying he deserves to be in the conversation. But like when you want to put him at number 2, and then you want to immediately go to Nas and then Rakim, and they got records like Rakim got records like that. I just named Mike. Like some of those songs I just named are the basis of like what lyricism is based on.
Let me go to the comments real quick. Spirit Decatur says he's not overrated. We're just unsure about his solo skills. All right, and
hold on. If we're unsure about his solo skills, how can he be the second greatest MC who ever lived? That's the whole premise.
We can't rate people on potential. You know, we have to go with what's actually there and what actually happened. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Jock J says, I think 3000 could, if he wanted to, for real. Can't doubt 3000, but he's never done it. And we talked about this earlier. Like people who were in groups, Tribe did it, Naughty by Nature did it. Wu-Tang did it. People who were in groups in that era, the Outkast was popping and Outkast was making the best music of their careers. They actually had solo individual songs on those group albums. Big Boy actually has solo songs on Outkast albums. Andre has no solo work. He doesn't have any song you could point to where it's just him with 2 or 3 verses. It's just what it is, man. And the fact that that doesn't exist, and he's, 2021, he is 27 years into his career, it's not happening. He doesn't have it. We can't sit here and make this up like it's actually something that's going to happen or we can actually quantify. Like you said, if we had to actually put ratings on that impact, body of work, his body of work as an individual has to be at a 1 or a 0.
So
it's just what it is.
Well, so let's flip it a little bit and look at it. I think sometimes, and especially with how like sometimes hip hop is trended, and I think it's kind of like trending back to like how we more know and remember hip hop to be. I think lyrics and rhymes are becoming more of the thing again, and it cycles itself. Like, you know, I think people forget that it's like hip hop didn't start off lyrical. You know what I mean? From the MC perspective. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
It evolved into something and then it devolves, evolves, revolves, whatever you may want to
I think that's why LL's always stayed true to who he is. You know, he comes from that era.
Yeah, it's going to cycle itself back around is how he figures it because he's been around a long... Like LL survived about 3 cycles. So like, yeah, of course he knows.
Yeah.
But I say that like, I don't think people understand how hard it is to write 3 verses or 2 verses of a hip hop song. And then, like, for the songs that have hooks that go with it, too, it is truly one of the tougher crafts in American music and song making. Like, when you're hearing, like, R&B or popular or country or different forms and style of music, you have to understand that these songwriters are writing significantly less than these MCs are. A lot of that is because of how the music is composed and how we design hip-hop with the pace of the beats per minute. These guys are compressing a lot of words and a lot of thoughts and ideas into a short mathematical framework of time, and it is a really hard craft. And I don't think people understand how hard it is to stay on message for 2 to 3 verses and stay consistently dope and keep people entertained at the same time. It is something that is extremely hard to do that gets understated about great MCs. And so it may seem funny. I just talked about Rakim's list. I kind of want to go to Jay's list to this point because some of the Jay songs that I've written down, Mike, are Jay songs that he's literally written twice, Mike. Mm-hmm. Dead Presidents 1, Mike. And then what, Mike? Dead Presidents 2. Mike, Who You With Part 1, Mike. And then guess what? Who You With Part 2, Mike. People don't understand how hard it is to finish the first song, but then they be able to write it again. Yeah. No, that's a rare gift.
And then he wasn't even writing, man. Like
I don't even want to get into that. I'm just talking. How about this? Let's just go into craftsmanship and the execution and the thought process that comes with crafting the song, whether you're writing it or not.
Right.
Like being able to do it, and then to be able to take the subject matter and go back and do it again within like a semblance of a framework of time. That's special. That's really special. Most of the guys who are considered to be all-time greats can do that. Like Nas is like notoriously known how he will write 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 verses to a song before, and you'll hear 2 verses. You know, I just gave you examples of songs that Jay has done 2 songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's made 2 songs in one with Rhyme No More and A Million and One Questions too.
Yeah.
So those are skills and traits we haven't seen Andre execute, quite frankly.
No, I mean, we just haven't. We haven't even seen, I mean, you're going on a whole nother level. We haven't even seen him do the basic solo song with 3 verses.
No, you're right, but we got to go deeper because you have to understand people put him so high. Like, we just had a conversation a few shows ago about my homie Obi, who's like, he's the best ever.
He's not.
And I was like,
this is, you know, no, and someone in the chat, and we're going to get to the chat room again, but someone in the chat, I think it was Chris, he asked, should Eminem be higher than Andre? And you know what? That's really problematic for me because I'm not a huge Eminem fan. And I think that Eminem's catalog isn't as great as people make it seem. But you know what? It is what it is. His body of work is what it is. And all these things actually apply to Eminem as well. You know what? I guess he should be as an individual, and that's why. And that's getting me to get to my point to say that I don't even think Andre qualifies to be in these individual conversations. I just don't think he does. Everybody that is on this list, let's go back to this list. Everyone on this list has songs that is just them, has albums that is just them.
Say, Mike, everybody on this list has solo albums, mixtapes,
so
and projects.
We're gonna have to just leave him out of these conversations.
Mike, that means he's getting like a big hall pass. I didn't even look at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Mike, my first thing is like when you have Andre at number 2, and I think Scarface is the greatest MC to ever come out of the South, and he doesn't make the list. It's like that's already Damn, Mike. I don't even know what to say.
Let's look at this list again. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got Jay, Dre, Nas, Rakim, Drake, J. Cole. Who on here doesn't have a solo album? Everybody.
Well, Mike, you're right. Even
everybody.
The people that are part of groups. I'm thinking like Kiss and Styles are part of groups, but they've done more solo work than group work.
Yeah, they got solo work. It is what it is, and so it's like
great solo MCs who deserve to be on this list.
So how am I even going to compare? Like, if somebody said, well, all those arguments you made apply to Eminem as well, then I would have to put Eminem over Dre. So I'm just going to have to say Dre's just disqualified from this conversation.
I wouldn't say disqualified, Mike. You know, we just need to place some people out and put some people in. So it's like, let's take somebody like, I don't know, Scarface and put him in. How about we move? Like, I'm not even going to argue with you today. Let's keep Jay at number 1 because, like, I even went through his list today. It's like, you know, like I told you, he's not my number 1, but if you feel that way, he's one of the people that deserves to be in that discussion. And if you feel that way, fine. Let's take Andre out and move Nas and Rakim up to like 2 and 3, and then put Scarface in at number 4 and take Dre off this list.
You know what, man? You know, unfortunately, you know, time has revealed. I think in around 2003, there was hope to say that, maybe Dre would come with a solo effort to prove all the greatness that he's actually displayed on Outkast efforts. But that's not going to happen. So the only thing that we can do, we can rate Outkast high for the work that they've done as a group. If you want to rate Big Boy on the work that he's done individually, you can do that. But there's no way to sit here and hold Dre high on any level, rap-wise, because he doesn't have the material. We just can't do it. Lauryn Hill has more rap material by herself than Andre does. She at least has Lost Ones. She has Doo-Wop. She has The Final Hour. You know what I mean? He doesn't even have those. So how are we even going to rank him as an individual? We can't. So he's off any list. And, you know, and I love Outkast as a collective. And Dre was my favorite member. Love Big Boy too. But when it comes to these greatest MC individual lists, he doesn't qualify because I can't quantify it. And now if you ask me another question, you ask me if I think he raps better than Eminem. Yeah, but
So
I can't
okay,
put him. I can't put
so
him over Eminem. I can't do it.
so I think that's the thing that everybody leans on. It's like when you hear him, and like
Mm-hmm.
even when you put him up against, I wouldn't say like Rakim, Jay, or Nas's best or Biggie's best stuff, but when you put him up against them, sometimes you're like, yeah, he is the best guy. Even up against those guys, when you hear him sometimes, because there's a funkiness to it that he has that they don't have, you know. And so I understand where people are coming from with
All
it,
right.
but it's like you said, Mike. It's like you keep on pointing out the whole thing about how long Big's been gone and how he still has more verses than Dre, and it's like every time you say that, it's like
Biggie had for our new viewers. Biggie has been dead 24 years. It'll be 24 years March 9th. And he still has more verses than
like Mike,
Andre
I was about to say,
3000.
I could think, Mike, I could start thinking of the Biggie songs that Biggie did by himself, starting on "Ready to Die," "Things Done Change," "Give Me the Loot," "Machine Gun Funk," "Ready to Die," the original "One More Chance," "Everyday Struggle," "Me and My Bitch," "Unbelievable," "Suicidal Thoughts." You go, somebody
Yeah.
gotta die. "Kick in the Door."
Now I do like the fact that
"Niggas Bleed."
Flex, I think there's a whole lot of flaws with this Flex list, and we're gonna get into it a little bit more.
Nobody,
But
somebody.
I do like the fact that Flex did a living list because I think it does get problematic when you have to put Big and Pot and even sometimes Pun in these lists because you got people who died at their primes. And so that kind of it's not fair to them and it's not fair to the people who've been able to keep on and get their work, get their catalog continuously growing. Because we never saw if Big was going to fall off or not, right? Or if he was going to end up having a comeback album. Because this happened to the best of them. Nas even made Nostradamus, you know? Jay made Volume 3 and had to come back from that. We've never seen.
Oh, Volume 3?
I think Volume 3 as a body of work was a drop off. Dynasty was kind of a comeback in a sense. He was
I don't
hiding
agree with
behind
that.
Big Pimpin', but Volume 3 is not that good.
I, I don't think Volume 2 or 3 have held up well, truthfully. We had the whole Volume 1 conversation. I told you some of his best stuff is really on. There's more classic stuff on Volume 1 than there is on Volume 2 and 3.
Yeah. Oh, Jay
Yeah.
says Volume 3 is a classic. All right, well, that's a whole nother subject. But let's get back to the point.
It didn't age well, Jay. It didn't age well, fam. It didn't. It didn't age
Nah,
well.
it didn't. But
So Ghetto is dope.
So Ghetto is dope. Snoopy track was dope. But the song Mariah Carey and all that stuff wasn't really hitting like that.
The S. Dot
You know.
Carter song.
S.
Yeah.
Carter, you must try harder.
Pop
Yeah.
Rock. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I think that it's not fair to those people who've had to go through the ups and downs in their career where Big and, Pac, in a sense, didn't have to go through that because they were no longer here. So it's tough to really judge everybody from end to end when you got people who died at the height of their careers. You know what I'm saying? So I like the fact that he did a living list, even though I do feel like in an overall list,
No.
Big is still high. Do you think the Big is continuously dropping as years go by? Or do you think Big and Pac's actual ranking just stays?
Okay, so I think around the time they died, I think both of them were considered to be top 5 MCs. Big more so than Pac because of his skill level, but I think most people still had Pac in their top 10.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really can't qualify or quantify how much has changed because it's like I'm so much from that era and just view them in a certain light and way. So it's hard for somebody like me to qualify it, to be honest with you. But I mean, Mike, I guess like on that regard, I guess we do have a responsibility as such. It's like I just want to say this right quick, like Pac's best work. Pac had become the best MC and lyricist that he had ever been on his last 2 to 3 projects, like All Eyes on Me, Volume 1, 2, and Machiavelli, like the MC.
Okay.
He had become more of a force at an MC because I think he had started to understand the actual literal power of his voice, not the power of his voice like in the community, but the actual physical power of his voice on the track. And I think he started to use it and utilize it more properly. And so I think that he was going to do things musically like better than what he had done before in terms of his execution. I mean, Mike, I told you, like, Big in '97 to me is in the conversation with, like, Rakim in his prime, and Nas is in his prime is like best MC I've ever even heard. And so that's how he left us, Mike. Like, he left us I mean, Mike, for me, and that was the last, like, greatest MC of all time performance on the mic by an MC to me. Just so
Well,
we can
my
qualify on the level.
follow, not to interrupt you, my follow up question is gonna kind of piggyback on what Tiffany Thomas is saying. She says it's age relevant. Everyone has their favorite era. Now, if a younger person came to you and was like, based on Kendrick's body of work, based on his skill set, his rhyme patterns, his wide range of subject matter, he thinks that they're better. He thinks that Kendrick's better than Pac or should be ranked higher than Pac and Biggie. What would you say to that?
Um, First of all, skill wise, he's still not big, so let's not get that confused. I was actually going to reference Kendrick momentarily to kind of qualify how I see it. Like, so I'm
You wouldn't rank Kendrick at this point higher than Big, based on what he's put out.
if we're talking about overall, are we talking like if I was
I'm
making
talking
a
about an
list?
overall list because we got
No,
to
I mean,
judge Big. Because and Dre's my favorite rap. Well, was my favorite rapper growing up. So I'm judging him by what's there. So we got to judge Big by what's there. And so
okay,
if we're
like
judging everybody by what's there, would you put Kendrick over Big?
no, and here's why. Because if you pulled out Kendrick's best 25 songs, even though Big only got about 25, 30 songs, Big still gonna have better songs.
Mm.
Yeah, he is, Mike.
Jock
I
J
mean,
says Kendrick
because
is
here's the
better
thing.
than Big. I said
No,
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 no. He didn't say
no.
that. He said Kendrick better than Big. Hell no. Okay.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But not to say that Kendrick. How about this? But Kendrick has done well enough that that's a relevant discussion, and I think that's an accomplishment in itself. So let me try to qualify when I say this. It's almost like there's a gold, silver, and a bronze for me. So it's like when I'm talking about greatest MC of all time years, it's like for me, my gold, silver, and bronze is like Nas 94 to 96, Big like 95 to 97, Rakim like 86 to 88. You feel what I'm saying? That's
Sean,
not to
yeah,
say
I
the
hear
guys.
you. But
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
hold
read
on,
some
hold
of
on.
these
That's not to
comments
say
too.
that but that's not to say that Kendrick run, Conway's run, Ice Cube's run isn't
Yeah.
in the conversation, right?
Sean says, real shit, Kendrick might go down as the best ever when he's done. Pretty sure he won't ever drop something weak.
Mike,
Spirit
Mike,
Decatur says Kendrick is in my top 5 over Biggie. I fell in love with hip hop when I heard it. It's like that by Run DMC. So I'm an old head.
hold on, Mike. Hold on, Mike. I'm gonna self prophesy what I said when I used to write articles before we used to podcast. Do you remember the article that I wrote
You did.
about what did I say, Mike? I said that Kendrick's next album is gonna determine if he goes into the next stratosphere where Big and Rakim and Nas and where Jay
Why does it
reside.
take the next album though, Coop?
Because
He's
because
already
because
dropped Section 80. He's dropped Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and
oh,
Damn. And
I
so
mean,
you're telling me that Big's Ready to Die and Life After Death trumps all 4 of those. I ain't even count Overly Dedicated.
Mike, in terms of lyrical performance on the mic, that's exactly what I'm telling you. Like Mike, as far as Life After Death is concerned, Mike, Life After Death might be the most impressive lyrical performance. Like that might be the most. No, it ain't might be Mike. Life After Death is the most impressive MC performance on the mic in the history of rap overall. If we're talking about flow, delivery, cadence, subject matter,
Okay.
execution, hit records, street records,
Mm-hmm.
lyricism, Mike, prophecy. How did the album end, Mike?
Listen,
My
no.
downfall, long kiss goodnight. You're nobody till somebody kills you. It's like there's even prophecy on the album from Big. It's like, come on.
He did
Like,
it
yeah,
all,
it's like
man. He
that.
did it all.
Like, and it's only like that. And like, I want you to understand this. That's why I said the next album, Mike, because he's like that. Kendrick is like that, but there's a few guys. It's like, no, like, I don't think he's fucking with them at their best. Big is one of those guys. He's one of a handful of guys. And that's why I said if Kendrick's next album sounds the way that like if the run continues, then yeah, we got to start talking about him the way that I'm talking about the guy behind me right now, the way I talk about Nas, the way we talk about Jay, the way we talk about Rakim. And so all I'm saying is like wait for one more project.
So you're saying that basically what Big's work was groundbreaking? Because I will say this: Life After Death was that
Epic,
album that
epic.
actually that set the tone for artists after that to have mainstream records, street records, records that were with the R&B singer. It had everything in it, and the game kind of basically patterned itself after that. Spirit of
Right.
Decatur says that, Damn got a Puzzler Prize. He also said Kendrick dropped the Black Anthem with All Right. Tiffany
I
Thomas
mean,
says three words
hold on,
Black Panther soundtrack.
hold on, Mike. I mean, like I could just go Tupac with like, Dear Mama, right quick. Okay, conversation over. That's what I'm saying. Like Kendrick ain't like all the way there like you think. It's like, okay, all right ain't got nothing on Dear Mama. Next.
Kendrick does not have a song better than Dear Mama. Everybody in the chat who's saying Kendrick is, should be above these people.
All I'm saying is,
Does he
and
have
y'all
a
are
better
saying,
song than Dear Mama?
no, he doesn't, Mike. That's ridiculous.
Does he have
Like
a
Dear
better
Mama,
song than Keep Your
Mike,
Head Up?
arguably, like how much a dollar cost comes to mind, feel comes to mind, real comes to mind.
Someone said Sing About Me.
Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. Yeah, that's one of his better. Yeah. But no, and for most people, y'all are saying like, no, he's over them, and like it's like y'all are putting him a step ahead, I'm putting him a step behind. So we're just two steps apart. It's like not that big of a difference in what we really talk
I
about.
think what it seems like, for some people, and what it seems like to me too, that Kendrick, everybody is going to say, okay, you need another album, or you need another album, but the man has dropped four highly critically acclaimed efforts, and we can't say that for Big. And honestly, we
No,
can't
but
even say
Mike,
that for Pac. And I love Pac, but he doesn't have four critically acclaimed efforts.
when you say critically acclaimed, what do you mean?
I
Like we
mean,
consider it a classic, like the community considers it to be a hip hop classic. Is that what you mean?
yeah, I mean Section 80 when it dropped, and even to this date, like it's like
No,
Kendrick's run
no.
is kind of like Janet's, four album run. You could ask like a bunch of different people, and everybody would say one of these different albums is their favorite. You know what I mean?
Oh no, Mike! I told you, as far as like a run is concerned, he's already put himself like in the catalog conversation, and I feel like MC wise, he's almost as great as like almost those guys. I mean, I don't, Mike. Okay, so I'm gonna tell people something. I told you I'm working on like that top 100 rap albums of all time. The most surprising thing to me so far it's been like when I thought of Life After Death, I realized how high I had to rank Life After Death. As in, like Mike, very few albums
You're
have been
ranking it
better
in
than that
order.
record.
You're ranking
Like
those
Mike,
100 in order. That's
I,
a
I
that's tough, man.
I'm trying to like at this point, I just want to get the list done. But as far as my top 10, I'll tell you this: like I found myself sitting Life After Death like next to Doggy Style and Aquemini and Illmatic, and I'm listening to the music and I'm like, nah, I'm not wrong. It matches up. And Kendrick doesn't have one album like that. Like Big made, I
Wow.
mean, it's a double. Mike, it's a double album. Mike,
So
and
you
that's what I
think
keep
Life
trying to
After
tell
Death
people.
is better than any album that Kendrick's ever put out?
Mike, those two out like if you count it as one album, Mike, but it's 22 songs. That's 11 records on each one. So I mean, let's say we're to count it as two projects. Go show me Kendrick's projects where you go line it up, Mike. That's all I'm saying. It's like it's not me saying it. Go line the songs up. Go line up Kendrick's. You pick your Kendrick 22 songs. I'm gonna pick 22 songs after Life After Death, and it's gonna be a conversation without me bringing Ready to Die into effect. And
They're
that's saying
coming
a
at you in the
lot
chats,
about
man.
Big.
They're coming
And
at
that
you in the chat.
and that's without counting the One More Chance remix. I mean, he doesn't even have more hits than Big, and he's had way more time to make bigger hits.
Well, I mean, the way music is put out is different now
Hold on.
too.
So what is he? Does he have a better voice? No. Does he have a better delivery? No. Has he had a bigger impact? No. Has he made a better album? No.
Mm.
So what are y'all talking? Is he a better storyteller? No.
I think it could be said album for album, his body of work rivals Big's.
No, no,
And
no. If you want to go body of work and give him body of work, but then let's go to impact and skill. So it's still big because he's
Tiffany
not more.
Thomas also says that content-wise, Kendrick shows better range. I understand that too, because he speaks about a lot more than Big did. Big didn't have.
No. I will lend credence to that. I'll also tell you, and this is what I keep trying to tell people. It's like you get in the car, you're about to ride, Mike. Let's say, how long is Life After Death? Like both of those records are about an hour apiece. You got to ride for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you ride into Savannah.
Right.
Mike, you gonna play Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly, or you gonna play Life After Death Volume 1 and 2? Because you're not gonna ride to Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly straight through the way you are Life After Death 1 and 2. So it's more entertaining, and it's just the quality of record.
Spirit Decatur says he's listening to K-Dot on that trip.
The MC is better. Like Mike, I ain't never heard nobody riding to Pimp a Butterfly on no road trip like that. Like, let's keep it real, Mike. Like, y'all don't be riding, like, Mike, y'all don't be riding listening to Pimp a Butterfly for 70 minutes. Y'all tripping. Like, if
hey, man, the Pimp a Butterfly is a masterpiece.
Get Mad City or damn, that's cool. But that's why I put To Pimp a Butterfly in there, Mike. Like, y'all are talking, like, people think that's his masterpiece record. It's not even that entertaining, Mike. I told you, it's tough.
We talked about this last week. I think To Pimp a Butterfly is his best effort. Like I said, when I hear These Walls, it's a different level than those other records, man.
You're talking about the execution of the record. I'm saying, like, it doesn't sound as good unless you literally listen to it from beginning to end, and listen to it from beginning to end isn't as entertaining as people be trying to make it out to be, because it's really dense and intense content and subject matter. Mike,
so you're saying that it's too smart? Is that what you're saying? The album's too smart?
Mike, you want to know how quick things change? When I wrote that article when Damn came out, people were crucifying me for putting Kendrick in the top 10. Now I'm getting crucified for not putting him above Big and Pac. Y'all are fucking wild.
Hey, man, that's the way it is, man. But
I just want to point out that it's like I wrote an article putting Kendrick in my top 10 after Damn. It's like, what the fuck else do y'all want?
I will say this, and we'll get back to Flex's list, because Flex actually put Mace above Big Daddy Kane, which I think is crazy. But I will say this, and I've gotten hit with all kind of slander when I said that I put Kendrick over Kane. I just do, just based on the catalog. I gotta put Kendrick over Kane.
Hold on, Mike. Listen to what I just said. I said I put Kendrick in my top 10 after Damn, and I just told you I was cool with KRS at 11. What is that telling you?
Yeah, that's real.
I'm obviously being objective. I have Kendrick ahead of everybody except for guys like Nas, Big, Pac, Scarface, Ghostface Killah, like Black Thought. It's like, stop acting like I'm tripping. Like, it's not a conversation.
You ain't got Kendrick over Black Thought?
I think, Mike, when I made the list, I had them somewhere in the same realm, but Thought is also done solo material since then. I've always told you my only reticence about putting Thought in the top 10 was no solo material. He's done 3 solo projects.
Now, see, Thought's not being a solo artist is not the same as Andre not being a solo artist. I just want to make that clear, because at least we know that Thought can hold down 3 verses of just him. And I get you, like the Roots with his backdrop and all that. And so Roots material is different than solo material in that sense. But we could already tell before he even went solo that he could actually hold down a hit record with just him on the bar.
Yeah, Mike, it was literally just the asterisk. It's like I literally just wanted to see 1 or 2 solo projects to put him in the top 10. Ain't nobody, if you think that Black Thought doesn't deserve to be in the top 10 at this point, I'm going to question what you like really know like about rap. Like,
I will say this about Black Thought, and I think that's where catalog and all that stuff comes into mind. I think that anybody that we can think of, if you put them in the same room with Black Thought, he will out-rap them. I mean, and I love Method Man, much love to Method Man and all that.
Don't bring it up, Mike. Just let it roll. Yeah.
But when they were sitting there in the same setting, and Method Man, you could see it in his face that he knew that he was sitting next to a superior MC. And this is Method Man.
And that's what I'm saying, Mike. So, I mean, Mike, Method Man is one of the people off this list that belongs on this list, but where would you have Meth as an MC?
Where would I have Meth as an MC?
Yeah, you've been asking me a lot of questions this evening. I want to ask you a couple.
Well, let me preface all this by saying that Method Man was my favorite MC growing up.
Objectively, Mike.
I think that Method Man standing out in the most lyrical group ever known to man stands for something. I think
standing next to Redman, Mike, and standing next to Redman for like a decade.
and all the features that he's done over the years, from the Conway Lemon to being the only feature on Ready to Die, and probably out rapping Big. Yeah, that's debatable. Whatever. So we got to
I
consider all those things. We got to consider Bring the Pain being one of the hardest records of its time. We got to consider the impact of the song with him and Mary. I would
It's one of the
definitely
best rap
have.
songs
I
ever,
agree
Mike.
with
It's one of the best
Christiana.
rap songs ever.
Method Man's top 25, probably
Yes.
around 25 ish without me even thinking too
Yes.
tough. But I
Yes.
would say who I do have ahead of him. I do have Busta ahead of him. I have Redman ahead of him,
Yes.
wherever that 25 falls.
Yeah.
But yeah, Method Man is
Hold on.
definitely 25, and honestly, I think he's rising because he's showing that he's still ill.
Mike, I was actually telling you, like, what did I say when I heard Lemon? I said people need to go listen to that verse. It is a class on MCing on every single level: voice,
Mm-hmm.
cadence, inflection, bars, lyrics. Like, no, it's almost like, like he done got on his like Wu-Tang Master shit, and he sounds incredible. Like, no, Mike, he sounds incredible. I'm like you. He's a top 25 MC. I have like Busta and Redman and guys like that ahead of him, but not far ahead of him.
Not that
And
far,
they've made,
and it ain't over.
hold on, not far ahead of him, and they made far superior solo material than him. That's how great he is.
But that
Like,
was a long
and
time ago, and these lists
So,
still evolve because people are still active. You know what I mean?
No. I do know what you mean. And here's another thing too that people have to understand is that, like, when he's next to Thought, I want people to understand it's like the only people lyrically that I put ahead of Black Thought is Rakim and Nas. Most of that is due to catalog and impact, not skill level,
Yeah.
Mike.
Skill wise, it's not many
When
people
you're
who can
standing-
sit next to
when-
Thought.
when-
Period.
Right, when you're standing next to Black Thought, I don't care who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the most skillful person there unless you are prime Rakim or Nas, and both of those guys are past their prime. And that's why I told you he's the walking standard for bars. So when you're saying like Method Man, no, he's sitting next to a superior MC, it's like shit. Everybody should know that at this point.
Yeah, at this point, I think Black Thought is probably I don't want to say the only person, but he might be the only elite MC from the 90s that has gotten even better over time. And he might actually be at his best right now. We can't say that for any of the people that,
Mike,
and that's no disrespect or anything.
Mike,
it's just the truth.
He
Like,
talk shit. Mike Thought the last 5 years talk shit real slick about how he keeps getting better like a vintage wine.
mm-hmm.
Like he says it on record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Drake playing saying that his top 5 is Ice Cube, Scarface, Nas, Tupac, and Black Thought. It's not a bad top 5.
I mean, that's 5 of my top 10. Oh no, I don't know if I have Cube. No, I would have Cube. Yeah, that's 5 of my top 10. I would probably say, Mike. Yeah.
But you know what? This is what I was gonna say about these lists evolving and people like Method Man continuously climbing. I was talking to Mo earlier about the fact that it's like that NBA list where they had the top 50 players that they made in, what was that, 92 or whatever. You know, some people drop off these lists when other players come in, and see the difference between this and that is the fact that people are still active, and the fact that Method Man is still active and still putting out great material. He's still climbing where other people have kind of reached their apex, and everything that they're making at this point is declining. But see, the one thing that Method Man does have in his favor, he doesn't have that classic album that is hanging over his head that he has to outdo. He doesn't have an Illmatic to actually go out there and outdo. He doesn't have a Only Built for Cuban Links or a Supreme Clientele that people are constantly like, yo, that's not this. You know what I'm saying? So he's actually in a better position to climb at this point because he doesn't have that. He could make his best record right now, like the Lox did last year.
Hey, Mike, if he were to make a classic hip hop solo album, where would you put him? Because I would catapult him over so many people if he did that. Like he would jump like he like wherever he is on my list, Mike. He would jump like 8 to 12 slots if he did that. Because that's how great I think he is, and he's shown to be. He's a real special MC, Mike. Like I said, can't too many guys rhyme with. Like Mike, first of all, he's the star of the most lyrical clan of all time, and it's not by accident. Like, that's the first thing. And how many guys can arguably outrhyme Biggie on a track where they're literally going back and forth? And how many guys can rhyme next to Redman for 10 years? Like, Mike, like Redman's not
Next to
Redman's not no
Ghost,
regular
Ray,
dude, man.
Jizza, all that.
Yeah, Ray, Jizza, Ghost, like you're rhyming with those guys on a regular basis and you're the star?
Yeah. Got to give him credit for that. Tiffany Thomas says, I want y'all to do this again with the lady lyricist list. I mean, we could do that right now. Like,
Oh, I would
what?
love to do that. I mean,
Let me ask y'all, like,
We've
who are the
actually,
top 5 female MCs?
we've actually done that in segments before. I
We
mean,
have.
Are we talking personally or objectively? Just for Tiffany? I mean, yeah, because I'll spit that out. I'm all for the ladies.
I mean, if we're gonna, let's just go objectively, right? You know what I'm saying? Personally, my favorite female rap album is Rah Digga's album, but I wouldn't say that Rah Digga is the best female MC of all time. I mean, we kind of even talked about the fact that if we want to put those criteria that Flex put on there, it's hard to go against Nicki Minaj in that sense. But
no, I mean,
you know,
I'm okay with Nicki being on there as long as Kim and Foxy and Light and Latifah get on too, Mike. Like, I'm cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. Where does, all right? So I guess Latifah. You know what? We're talking about Method Man being really good now. You heard Latifah on that Rhapsody album. You heard her on that K-Slay. Latifah's rapping better than Light right now. Let's just keep it 100.
Facts.
She is.
No, I mean,
she's
Light's
rapping at a very high level. And where does Rhapsody fall in all of this?
You know how I feel about Light. Light's my personal favorite, you know, but I mean, I'll give it to you. If I'm doing a top 5, I mean, I just can't deny Lauren's skills, or are we disqualifying her for body of work too, or is she?
I mean, body of work's just not there for her.
All right,
but so where she does benefit,
I'm cool with sliding her. If we have in the award ceremony, she wouldn't one time.
Where she does benefit is there's a lot smaller pool of people. You know, if we're just talking about female MCs, there's a lot smaller pool of her competitors, so she probably could slide in there even with her lack of body of work. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean, because a lot of the other women have a lack of body of work too, like a Bahamadia or Rah Digga. Right. So I would.
Let me ask you this: is Eve a top 5 female MC?
For me, yes. That's what I was about to say,
so.
man.
I think
for
so.
Me, like my favorite 2 female MCs, like spitters, like who just I love to hear that shit. Foxy, Eve. Yeah.
I think body of work, maybe not impact per se, but body of work, versatility, and just bar for bar. I think Eve's better than Foxy. And we don't have any ghostwriting stuff with Eve going on either. No questionable pen things out there with Eve.
Right.
Where does Rhapsody fit in all of this? Because again, there's no questionable pen with her either. And do you
I was actually saying it's crazy. Like, I feel like she's been ascending since she dropped Eve, and that she is proving herself deserving of being in this conversation. So it's like I don't know exactly where she resides. I'm a big fan of her. Love her material. I love what she does. I told you her guest appearance on Busta's album was one of the best guest appearances of the year.
Yeah.
She's super dope. I thought Eve was album of the year.
In 19.
Which was in 19, which was the first time I had felt that way about a female rap album, and that includes Hardcore by Lil Kim, because that came out in 96.
Tough competition that year,
yeah. So I don't know if she's quite like in my top 5, but hovering around, like, deserves to be in the conversation at this point. Like, given the last 2-3 years specifically, what I've heard, like, yeah, deserves to be in the conversation, Mike.
People are saying that Nicki has the crown. You know, and I guess we're going to have to actually qualify the criteria when it comes to that. No one has more hits than Nicki. Honestly, not many female MCs, I don't think any of them have the body of work. Maybe Lil Kim. Maybe because Lil Kim has continued on and on throughout the years.
Lil Kim's just made better albums. I mean, that's the way I look at it. If you're talking body of work, if we're comparing, okay, so let's compare the two again just briefly.
Right.
If lyrical ability is the judge, nod to Kim. Is that fair?
I don't know. I think Nicki could out-rap Kim.
You do?
I
Okay, a
think
lot
if
of
they
people
were both
no, no,
sitting
a
there
lot,
on the block,
a lot of like how about this? Like I feel like Nicki can outright rap Kim, except for like I've seen Kim have those explosive verses that are like epic that I haven't heard from Nicki. And if everybody just would stop going to that monster verse, they would see, well, give me something other than the monster verse because I can give you more verses from Kim. You know what
but
I
you know
mean?
where I think where Nicki loses me is with the corny little voices and some of the questionable punchlines. So I might give the edge to Kim, but I would say that I think that Nicki, skill wise, is probably a little bit more skilled than Kim. It's almost like not going back to another basketball analogy, but it's like when the 3-point shot is more important now, right? And it's like I'm giving somebody points for being a 3-point shooter in a certain era. In a previous era, it just wasn't that important. You know what I mean? And
No,
that
I get what you're saying. Hold on. So let's say this. Let's say Nicki's more skillful than Kim
right.
is on the mic. So let's give her the edge in
But I like
skill.
more of Kim's verses than Nicki's.
Well, I was about to say, well, I would say body of work has more to do with your songwriting and song making ability, which is where I feel Kim has a succinct advantage over Nicki. And I would say she's made better albums than Nicki. So even though Nicki is more skillful, Kim is the better executor and has made a better body of work because of that. So let's say it's 1-1 right there. Now let's get the impact, Mike. And here's my dividing
Well,
point.
no.
How can people say that Nicki is more impactful when a lot of what she got she took from Kim? That lessens the impact, and that's all I've been saying. I like Nicki, it's just the impact's not the same because I come from an era where I watched Kim do literally the same thing, and so did you.
This
And
is
so the
what I will
impact's not
say.
the same. The impact's the same for that generation. It's not the same for all generations, and people have to understand Kim's impact is different because when she came along, the first to do it like that, Mike.
I will
Nicki
say
was
this, and I
second.
agree with that. I think Kim is a top 5 impactful MC in hip hop. Like, if you want to talk about the 5 most
Easy.
impactful people in hip hop music, Kim has to be in that 5.
Mike, I don't know if it's
Unless
five,
we're
but it's
talking,
definitely in the top. It's definitely in the top 10, and she would probably be the only female that would make the top 10.
okay, that's fair. Because what we're gonna say, influence wise, I'm going Rakim. I'm going Pop. We're talking about individuals. I'm not even gonna talk about groups per se. I'm gonna say Rakim,
Pac
Pop,
and Rakim stand out. I would say Jay, Big, and
Jay.
Nas. Like they've
Is Kim more
impacted the
impactful than
culture.
Big? I think so. And
Is
that's
who?
crazy to say.
Is who?
Is Kim more impactful than Big? I think so.
If we're talking about the totality of it, yes,
Yeah.
because most of Big's impact has to do with that brilliant performance on Life After Death. Because we ain't never heard nobody rap so well, so in such a versatile manner. So much of Big is attached to the music in terms of the impact.
It's more of the image when it comes to her and just her approach. And I do think Kanye's in that impact. I think that
Yeah,
Wayne is in that impact. And honestly, Future and
yeah.
Young Thug are actually there too. But
I
yeah,
would say Future before I would say Young Thug because I've seen more Future spawn offs than I've seen Young Thugs.
I agree. I agree. But yeah, so when we talk about impact, that's not even close. So yeah, Kim gets that nod over Nicki any day.
So it would be 2-1. Even if you give Nikki skills, she's still gonna lose the other two. So it's like Kim deserves to be in, and I'm not saying Nikki doesn't deserve to be in. I'm just saying
Mm-hmm.
not above Kim.
Well, somebody said that the Brat's better than Nicki. What do you think about that?
I mean, Mike, for personal taste and aesthetics, I think Eve is the best female rap album I've ever heard. I think Hardcore is the most important, but Funkdified is my favorite.
How well do you think the Brat's music collectively has aged? I mean, because
Out-
outside of Funkdified, it really hasn't aged that well. Now, if we talk about just straight up rhyming, and again, I think she could probably out rap Foxy and Kim too, but her music doesn't stand with theirs, in my opinion. And I love the Brat.
I love the Brat too.
I don't think
I
she's top 5, and that's crazy. Well, it's not crazy to say, but yeah, I don't think
no. It's funny. I actually know somebody who knows her. I'm actually texting them to let them know we're talking about her right now. You know how the A is, Mike.
yeah.
No. Outside of Funkdified, Mike, I say it's been real touch and go with it. But I love Funkdified. I do think that she can out rap Kim. I think she can out rap almost anybody if she's on point. like female wise. Yeah,
Well, I
with the
mean, what
exception of Lauren.
body of work wise, what do you think about Missy and how she fits in all this? Because I think she probably has, in
It's
my
so hard
opinion,
to
the best
qualify.
body of
So hard.
work.
I mean, is she? Are we qualifying her as a female MC and not as like this amazing music songwriter?
You
Like
know
she's a
what?
little bit. She's so much of everything.
If Drake is considering MC, I don't understand why Missy can't be.
You want to know what, Mike? If that was the case, you're right, Mike. She has the best body of work.
Missy has the best body of work.
she
Now
has the
she
best
might
body
not
of
be the
work.
best skill
I love
wise,
Missy.
but yeah, I love every album until I maybe like the last one or whatever. But yeah, her album run was incredible. And so yeah, I mean, I think that she gets top five consideration on that alone. So what are we looking at? We're looking at like what MC Light, Latifah, Missy, Eve, and Nikki or something.
More or less, because because as much as I love Foxy, I
Kim.
can't put, yeah. Because how about this? Eve's only real album is better than everything Foxy did album wise. It just is, and I put her right there as my favorite spitter to hear like rhyme on the mic right next to Foxy. So as much as I personally love Foxy, I would slide her out. So it would probably be Foxy and Rhapsody right outside my top five. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that what Flex put Remy on there, and yeah, the only female MCs that were on Flex's list was what Remy and
Remy, Nikki, and Eve.
Remy, Nikki, and Eve. Okay. Yeah, and Method Man was left off the list altogether. I think that's wild. Meek Mill was at 40. Flex had Meek Mill over Lauryn Hill, fine. T.I., Rick Ross, Ghostface. Let me ask you this. We talked about 3,000, and I think this is another thing that came up when we talk about the South. Overall, you asked me about Method Man. Where is T.I. actually?
Mike, I was actually thinking, what do people think about Ghostface? Because I know you and I both love him so much. It's like, does everybody love Ghost the way that we do? And
Nah, I think Ghost has a.
10,
Nah, I think you
10,
either
top
get it or
15
you
MC?
don't. Yeah.
Like, so when we be talking like the Supreme clientele, like Iron Man, like shit, no.
I don't know. I think most people don't even understand most of the words that Ghostface is saying, so they just
I don't
like,
think Ghostface understand most of the words Ghostface is saying. Neither did James Brown, Mike, and neither does Future or Young Thug.
Ghostface is my favorite rapper. You already know.
Mike, you already know how I feel about Ghost too. Like I got him right there with Face and Jay, and like I love Ghost.
I think the best two storytellers in hip hop is Ghostface and Scarface. I mean, that's just
my top five has both of those guys in there, but I would go Nas, Scarface, Ghostface, Slick Rick, Big.
Jarrell has T.I. in his bottom 30.
Okay. Like he would be somewhere between 15 to 30 for me too. Like he's one of those guys I would probably have to put him slightly ahead of somebody like Method Man because of the body of work.
That was going to be my question. Would you put T.I. ahead of Method Man?
Because yes.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that he's better than Method Man, but we're talking about the totality of everything, because Tip has made a lot of impact too.
Yeah. He changed a lot of things.
I don't know. Hold on. How about this? Do you think this is a good question? How impactful is Tip as opposed to Method Man? Like whose impact has been greater on hip hop?
I think T.I.'s, and that's crazy for me to say. Shout out to both Cliffords. Clifford Smith and Clifford Harris. But
that's a good name. Yeah. Good call, Mike.
But I mean, I think that, like you said, Method Man would out-rap T.I., but T.I.'s impact has been bigger as an individual artist. When T.I. took his time, when he had that time, and ran with it and became a big name.
So he would win impact and body of work, and Method Man would win skills, right?
Yeah, I think that.
But they both belong on this list. Like Method Man's off this list, he belongs on this list, and both of them should be pushed up. Like the problem with this list, really, like mostly, like there are questionable people on the list, but there are just some glaring omissions. But the biggest problem overall with the list is the placement, Mike.
Well, all right. Speaking of placement, J. Cole's at 6. Where would you put J. Cole? I know you said Kendrick's. You wrote an article about Kendrick being top 10. Is J.
Yes.
Cole
Mike,
top 15 or 20 or further out? What's your
hold on, Mike.
call
When
on
did
that?
Damn get released? Over 4 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said Kendrick was 10 over 4 years ago. Top 10 over 4 years ago, I said that. So I'm not going to argue with him being somewhere in the top 10. If you got him at 7, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I thought about it for a minute. And I told you that, I mean, Mike, I don't know. Like, are you a bigger Pusha T fan than I am? Because you're starting to make me feel that way.
Hey, Pusha T is my guy. I love Pusha T, man.
I love Pusha T.
Yeah.
Like, Mike, I saw Pusha T at number 8, and that was too. And I was like, that's too high. But Mike, actually, when I think about it, if we're talking living, and now that he's actually made Daytona, and if you were to actually like move some of the people out of the way that I don't think should be ahead of him, which are Cole, Drake, and Andre 3000, I don't have a problem with him at number 8 as long as the appropriate people are slid in ahead of him. And so let me tell you the people automatically that should be slid ahead of him. Scarface and Ghostface should go ahead of him.
Yes. Ice Cube as well.
Mike, I'll give you Ice Cube, but I gave you 3 slots too.
Yeah.
So if he's at number 8, you put Thought ahead of Pusha?
Of course.
So I'd slide him down to 9. And I felt that way too. But after that, Mike, where would you go? Who's better than Push? Because
hold on. Let me pull up this list.
Mike, how about this, Mike? How many people other than him and Ice Cube have a classic with a group and a classic as a solo artist, Mike?
You know what? Hold on.
How many rappers
Let me
have
ask
pulled it
you
off,
this.
Mike? How many rappers have pulled it off, Mike?
I have a question. And I know everybody's going to, because we were just talking about T.I. We haven't talked about Lil Wayne yet. Is Pusha T better than Lil Wayne?
Yes. I've always said that, though.
I feel like he is, too. And
I've always said that.
Where is Lil Wayne in all this? Do you think he's placed too high?
Yes.
I think Lil Wayne, and I know we got a lot of Wayne.
Is he ahead of KRS-One?
I think he's like right behind that or something. I know we got a lot of Wayne fans.
You want to know? No, Mike. If Wayne's at 13, I'm not going to argue with that too much. He would be further back for me, but that's one of those slots I'm not going to argue with. I'm going to tell you, Mace doesn't belong on this list at 19. We don't need to be talking about Wayne at 13. Yeah.
Where's Mace at? He got Mace at 19. Yeah, he's trolling. But you know what? I wanna zero in on Lil Wayne real quick. I mean, because I know that, when Wayne starts saying best rapper alive and all that stuff, it really started getting people to pushing him into that echelon. No. People put Wayne in their top 5 conversations.
No. I know people in Atlanta, Mike, that think Wayne is the best MC who ever lived. And they feel that way.
I mean, everybody in this chat is kind of getting at us, too. They say, y'all crazy. Jock J says Wayne had writers. I agree. Wayne did have writers. Ask Hova don't pass the crown too soon unless you got a crown for every writer in the room. Too many spirits in these ghost written tunes, so you can't crown an heir until you seance the room.
Yeah. Mike, how about this? They talking about Drake questionable pen. Shit, I keep telling you I question if Drake didn't write the Carter 3 or at least part of it with fucking Wayne. It's questionable pen. That's what Push was really talking about on that verse. He's saying, like, you don't know who writing for who between all these dudes in the room at this point.
And he was talking about the record that was actually on the Carter 3. Hey, Mr. Carter.
Mike.
And we know that Gilly wrote for Wayne. That's just real.
But not only was he talking about, hey, Mr. Carter, Mike, but it's like Push is ahead. So he's been around. Remember what happened to that boy? Like, he's been around Wayne. Like, he's been around the crew. He's watched the evolution of Wayne. He might have listened to the Carter 3 the way I did and be like, yo, that don't even really sound like the Wayne that I just listened to on the Carter 2.
My thing with Wayne and everybody putting him so high is similar to the Eminem thing, where it's like, I feel like his seminal pieces of work, or what people hold so high, don't really compare to the seminal pieces of work of the people that I think are really top 10.
The Carter 2 is a top 50 rap album, Mike.
I don't feel like I could put the Carter 2 up against Ready to Die, or
I didn't say that, Mike.
You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just saying, like, if you're in this conversation that we got to start talking about purple tapes. We got to start talking about doggy styles
No,
and stuff.
no,
Like, it
that's
is
and
what it
Mike,
is.
and I tell people that all the time, but that's also why I tell people that's why he's not in the conversation, but I'm cool with him at 13-ish.
That's
Like,
why
but he
I even welcome Kendrick into the conversation because of the albums that he's put out. The
Mike,
Good Kid,
he's
Mad
in the
Cities, we
conversation.
could put those against whatever.
Mike, he's in the conversation because of the albums, even above the skills, and he's very, very skilled.
Mm-hmm.
That's how great the albums are. Like when I'm saying To Pimp a Butterfly isn't entertaining, I'm not saying it's not great, Mike. Like you want to know? Hey, Mike, remember how you be like all the time, like Nas is like boring sometimes. Like Kendrick suffers from the same thing. That's what I'm saying. It's not entertaining all the time to hear that. Like Mike, sometimes I don't. Mike, sometimes I don't want to hear "Taking in Blood" from Nas. You feel me? Like that. It's like
it's
okay,
too smart, basically. Jock J says Wayne's not even in my top 20. I don't think he's in my top 20 either. If I want to be perfectly honest, because I'm trying to think seminal pieces of work. But see, a lot of Wayne fans really harp on the mixtape Wayne, and they harp on individual verses where he was blacking out. Just that, it's not even anything that we can actually quantify in parts of your catalog. He benefited from having a lot of work.
Here's what I'm saying when I'm saying it. Based on this list, I'm cool with him at 13 because it says skill level bars. I think Wayne is somewhere between probably one of the most 15 to 30 most skilled MCs of all time. Like, because he has skills, Mike. His
questionable pen, man.
He had no, Mike. He has skills. He has skills. I'm not taking the skills away. Just like I tell you, Eminem has skills.
Now, let me ask you this. Since you said Wayne has skills, give me some bars that you was like, whoa. Can you think of any off top? Or?
The first time I really paid attention. How about this, Mike? Like the Carter 2 was when I started paying attention to him because it was the first time that I found him to be consistently great as a lyricist, record to record, and that had never happened for him before. And so it wasn't a particular record or a verse. It really was that project for a whole, and watching him execute at a high lyrical level consistently. The first song, The Mob. You want to know what, Mike? Money on my mind. Flying, The Mob. Fireman, greatest rapper alive, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mike, you want to know what his seminal rhyme might be? That rhyme on "Oh No," where he just spazzes out for like 2 minutes. I played a bullshit from the backseat, champ. Like, yeah, that one. The song with Corrupt, Lock and Load. It was the first time he performed lyrically consistently from beginning to end on the album. If I was thinking about a seminal verse, I would actually think it's his last verse on "Stuntin' Like My Daddy," though. That was the verse where I was like, okay, he might be the best rapper on the planet.
I don't know, man. I just, I think that his drastic jumps in styles always made me feel like there was somebody else in the background writing some things.
Well, here's what I mean when I say impact, too. Like, when he was at his peak, I was still active, Mike. One of the things that always surprised me was how other artists felt about him. A lot of these people that I'm telling you who feel like he's the greatest of all time or one of the greatest are people who I used to be like on the music circuit with or be in studios with or like did music themselves, even if we didn't collab or get down together and stuff. It's like I seen the hold that he had on people trying to get into the industry, people getting into the industry, and people in the industry. And that was the thing that struck a chord with me. And so the impact is there.
Oh, the impact is there. I mean, you can see his impact on just about any of the artists that are out there now. Watkins Luther said, man, I'm stuck. Y'all talking about 3,000, not that nigga like, come on to don't come close to 3,000. Most definitely not Ghostface. Okay, I think Watkins Luther is saying people don't come close to 3,000. I know we covered the whole 3,000 thing. Watkins Luther, send me a song where 3,000 has 2 rap verses or 3 rap verses where it's just him. And don't give me that whole day in a lifetime of Andre 3000. I would like to hear a song where it's just Andre with 2 or 3 verses where it's just by himself. Nobody on this list doesn't have that alone. Like, that's just the seminal criteria to being an individual. If we want to talk about Outkast and stuff, great. We could talk about Outkast and how they're one of the greatest duos ever, if not the greatest. But if you want to talk about Andre as an individual, I'm going to need to see some individual work. And if we can't see no individual work, he doesn't qualify to even be in the conversation with Ghostface.
You see, Mike, I've actually been talking to you enough. Like I was thinking when that guy sent that comment, I was like, he has no idea what he's
I'm
getting
just
himself.
saying. That's what it is, man. And you know, I used to be one of those. I used to be just like you, Watkins Luther. I used to be like, yo, it doesn't matter if you're not a solo artist, man. He's
That was
dope.
priceless.
But it does matter
Priceless.
because out of 27 years of his career, there's not a rapper. Y'all name me some rappers in any groups that don't have a song where it's just 3 verses with just them. I'm sure Lord Jamar even does. Brand Nubian used to do that in their records. They used to have individual records on Brand Nubian albums.
No. Puba and Sadat would get some run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so being in a group is not an excuse. He just can't do it. And if you can't do it, then I can't put you there with the solo MCs. Love you 3000, but shit. It is what it is. Now, with that being said, is T.I. in 15 to 20 or more 20 to 25?
He would probably be more 20 to 25. Like my 20 to 25 would probably consist of like the T.I.'s, Busters, Redmans, Method Man on the back end. Yeah.
You got Lil Wayne over T.I.
I don't personally. I think Wayne is dope. I think T.I. makes better songs. I think his body of work is better. Wayne has had impact comparable, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, to like a Big, a Pac, a Nas, a Jay.
Yeah.
And so he gets heavy points for that because he has top 5 MC impact. I don't think he's a top 5 MC, but he's probably the only guy I would have outside of my top 10 that actually has a top 5 impact. And that would be the thing that would keep him in my, like, he would be in the same range. Mike, if I was doing a 20 to 25, I could take those 5 guys and I would probably put Wayne at 25, Method Man at 24, Busta at 23, Red at 22, Tip at 21, somebody like Q-Tip at 20.
My man Drake Patton says, Ghetto Boys, we can't be stopped. They had individual songs on there. Yeah. I mean, again, and you just said Q-Tip, man, like from the jump. The first Tribe album, I mean, we got Bonita. Bonita is a Q-Tip song.
Yeah.
He showed us from jump that he could hold it down. And even with Fife on the Low End Theory, he got Butter. 8 Million Stories. Like, so yeah, being in a group really isn't an excuse. If we want to talk about that now, then yeah, Wayne does have that top 5 impact. So I think a lot of his ranking comes on impact and just a lot of material. I agree with you.
Mike,
I like T.I.'s catalog better, personally.
Yeah,
where does Ludacris fit in all of this? Because I don't think Ludacris's impact was that huge. I might be wrong. What do y'all think in the room? Like, was Ludacris's impact huge?
I think where he gets the most points would probably be his skill level in bars, because the body of the work and the impact just isn't there, I don't think. But I think he's skilled enough to be in this top 50 list, but he probably wouldn't make my top 50 list because I would look at the body of work and impact and say, like, literally in your own city, Tip and Jeezy at the same time had a bigger impact overall and have actually been around longer now.
Yeah. Watkins Luther said that Andre has a song called 16. A solo song called 16, You Ask, I Give. No, that's Rick Ross's song.
That's Rick Ross's song, and Rick Ross does the first verse, and his first verse actually might be better than Andre's verse on there, which is one of the few times Andre gets outperformed on the mic. Like, yeah, that's actually one of Rick Ross's best records ever, too. But I mean, like, yeah, he was right there with 3 stacks on that. So he didn't provide us with anything. Mike, Lord Finesse is at 31. Like, how did that happen?
That's like, that. But see, he remembered he was from the Bronx.
Mike, I love Lord Finesse and Fat Joe, but realistically, and when I mean I love Fat Joe, I mean I love Fat Joe, Mike. I mean, I bought the original Jealous Ones Envy when it came out in 1995. Like, I spent my money and bought Jealous Ones Envy. I'm a Fat Joe fan. When I say I'm a Fat Joe fan, I'm a Fat Joe fan before Big Pun ever came along, Mike. Like, I was a Fat Joe fan. I like Joe. I've always.
Where did he rank Joe?
Huh?
Where did he rank?
Joe is 33, because I'm a Digging in the Crates fan, Mike. Showbiz, AG, Lord Finesse. Right, Digging in the Crates. But, I mean,
I got a lot of respect for Fat Joe's career. If we want to talk about some of the best hip hop careers ever, I think Fat Joe's in that conversation.
I think Fat Joe is I don't know if anybody's done more with less, Mike.
Yeah.
At MC.
Yeah.
I love Joe and I love his story because I don't know if anybody ever worked harder to become above average to great MC the way Joe did.
And to stay around, his longevity and being able to adapt, dealing
I
with
mean, that's
losing
what
your
I'm saying,
biggest
Mike.
artist.
If people go listen to Jealous One's Envy in 1995 and then go listen to Jealous One Still Envy, which is like what, 2000 or 2000, early 2000s. It's like, Mike, I mean, yeah, he put in work, man. He put in real work. He made himself to a great MC, but he doesn't belong on this list because what's his seminal album? What's his seminal verse? What's his impact? Like, his impact is actually in his missed opportunities because most of these Miami dudes that blew up and became super major in the game were guys he had access to first that he didn't put on. Pitbull, Rick Ross.
Well, you know what? I know we could be at this all night, man. We got to wrap it up. What I will say, though, I know we covered a couple of lists. Do you think it'll be cool if we put together a 25 of our own to present next week? Based on these same criteria. And let's do living, because I don't want to get into the Pac and Big thing.
Oh, if we're talking living, I got to change my list. But yeah, no, we can do that. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, too. It's like, I actually thought about it. It's like, because I kind of had Pusha T like 10 to 15 anyway, Mike. So when I saw him at 8, I was like, nah. But then I was thinking about it. It's like, well, I got Big and Pac ahead of him, you know, so he immediately would move 2 slots up. Like, Mike.
You sound like you going to rank Pusha T, man, high.
I might end up doing it, Mike, because, Mike, how many people other than him and Ice Cube can say, I have a classic record with a group? I have a classic solo record.
Well,
how many guys
Scarface.
say that?
Scarface.
Ooh, I mean, how much of a classic? So we got Scarface.
Ghostface. Ray.
Ice Cube.
Ray.
Mike, listen to the guys who you're naming. That's my whole point. Like, Scarface and Ghostface are in my top 10. Ice Cube's in my top 10. Right.
Yo, the people are asking.
Like, Mike, I'm his, you know, Mike, I've been his biggest fan and supporter for the longest time.
Hey, cool. And so, the people in the room are asking what's your Twitter or your Instagram or whatnot. You know, they want to follow some of these discussions, because what we'll do is we'll put the list up. We'll put it on your Instagram first.
Yeah, that's cool. My Instagram is Colin Damar. My name's Ahmad Colin Damar Cooper. COLIN_DEMA
DEMA
RH.
All right, I'll put it in the chat.
God gave me style, so did my mom, Ahmad Colin Damar Cooper.
And we didn't even get to the whole 50 Cent thing and all that,
50
man.
16, Mike. I wanted to cover that so bad because it's like...
Okay, let's do that before we go.
He made one of the greatest rap albums of all time. Like, it's one of the 25 to 30 greatest rap albums of all time, probably. And he has a lot of impact. And he's not what I would call A-list MC skilled, but he's the next best thing.
50's impact to me, I would say, is what his impact was to the mixtape game for artists. Before 50 Cent, mixtapes belonged to the DJ. 50 Cent made the mixtapes belong to the artist, and you can go back and say the locks and all that stuff, and you know, but still, those were clue tapes. You know what I'm saying? And it was spearheaded by the DJ being the front runner in that, and you had them on it. But 50 made the mixtapes where it was a viable way for artists to actually up their stock before an album drop. You know what I'm saying? Or even to get a deal. And so...
No, that's what Yes, Mike, go ahead. No, finish.
I mean, I think that, you know, if we want to talk about impact, 50 Cent was huge in that light. Like, the reason why Get Rich or Die Trying was so huge was because of the work that he did on the mixtape circuit before that monster even came out. Same thing with what Wayne did with the Carter 3. around those times when he had those dedications bubbling, and that's what made the Carter 3 jump off so huge. But yeah, 50 was the one that kind of was the spearhead to that. I think 50 has a very similar career when it comes to debuting as Snoop did with Doggy Style, with that being like the biggest piece of work that he has, and he's just been able to kind of coast off of it since. But his launching pad was the Chronic, whereas 50's was more mixtapes, and I think that would be 50's impact on the game, and we got to hold him high for that because that's still a big factor.
No, I don't think I've ever seen somebody make the mixtape a business plan the way 50 did, and that might be his real imprint and legacy. He literally business planned a mixtape series into a multi-million-dollar deal with a multi-million-dollar corporation that led to multi-million-dollar album sales, that led into more multi-million-dollar deals for his team, that led into more multi-million-dollar ventures, that led him into now TV and the film, and that started with mixtapes, Mike.
Yeah.
And so nobody's done that. That impact. Matter of fact, might not be getting enough credit for impact. And Get Rich or Die Trying is an all-time great rap album. It's not Doggy Style because, I mean, I'll tell you right now, Mike, I was doing that top 100 list. Doggy Style's a top 5 rap album, and I realized that because when I started parsing it out, it's like, no, that's not better than Doggy Style. Like, Mike, when I was listening to Ready to Die, it's like, I can't say Ready to Die is better than Doggy Style end to end.
Nah, I don't think it is. Doggy Style is a monster, man.
No, Mike, that's where Life After Death started creeping in because after I listened to Doggy Style, I realized that there weren't too many albums fucking with Doggy Style after the albums that I had ahead of it, which was pretty much Paid in Full, The Purple Tape, Aquemini, Illmatic. I was like, shit, there ain't much going, you know.
Well, let's get this top 25 MCs list together for next week. And, we ain't going to spend too much time on it because, that's always a revolving discussion. But I do want to start the year off with us actually having some sort of a list to kind of revolve around and change around. Because, we're saying off the top of our head that Method Man's top 25, but maybe once we start putting this on paper and factoring it out, maybe it might be around 26, 27. But like we said before, I think Method Man has a lot of room to actually continue to climb that list, even at this point in his career, because he sounds as good as he's ever sound, honestly. And so, I think that'd be good to actually have something that we can go back to in months later, at the end of the year and be like, you know what? This changed.
Hey, Mike, I don't want to put T.I. or Rick Ross ahead of them as much as I love those guys. I don't think they're better than Method Man, but I have them ahead, man.
I mean, catalog, and, again, we have to put the criteria out there so it makes sense. Jock J says top production list. That'd be great, too, because we spoke about something like that today. I think that Pete Rock is a lot higher than people might think because he's been making bangers in recent years, and it goes all the way back to like 91, 92, and he never stopped. Pete Rock is, I will say this.
You've been on your Pete Rock soapbox for a minute behind the scenes, Mike.
I've always loved Pete Rock, but I'm sure I'm super late. But the fact that I'm just now finding out that he produced West Side Gun's Brutus was mind-blowing to me. Like, Mike, really?
Did you listen to the Conway records?
I did listen to the Conway records.
Rare Form?
Rare Form is crazy.
Okay, so Mike, when he's on Jesus Christ is talking about I'm back in rare form, that's what he was talking about. That's why I'm like, you got to be a fan to like even know what he's spitting on Jesus Christ is. I'm back in rare form. I'm in my devil's reject bag. You got to rebuke me. That was his best lyrical performance stuff up until From a King to a God. So like Rare Form is arguably his best lyrical performance prior to From a King to a God, and Pete Rock did that beat. Yeah.
Pete Rock is quietly doing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I would love to do a top production list because I think people like The Alchemist. I was listening to Keep It Thorough the other day, and we just gave Alchemist Producer of the Year last year for an incredible year. And I'm like, yo, these guys are still around killing the game. So what does that put them on an all-time list? Like,
right. Hey, Mike, I just want to say this. Flex so wrong for taking Prodigy off that top 50 list. Like, I don't know what he's thinking. You want to know what one of Flex's most famous mixes is? And this just came to my mind. Mm-hmm. It's Prodigy's verse, The Shook Ones Part 2 over the Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With.
I know, it is. The fact that Flex didn't have Prodigy on this list is criminal.
Mike, that's one of those mixes that he did that helped propel him to the status that he's in, because those of us that were heads that loved that record and loved that beat and thought, like, that's still one of the best rap verses ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when he put it together, that was part of his fame.
Yeah.
Like, these dudes be...
Yeah, man. Prodigy not being top 50 on Flex's list is criminal. But yeah.
Where you got P? Hold on, Mike. Where you got P? You know I love P.
I love P too, man. You know, I'm gonna be safe and say top 25 right now, but we'll have that top 25 list next week.
I'm afraid, even though I love him, he's gonna fall closer to 25 to 35 at this point because of the guys that have come in. Guys like Kendrick have moved him, and yeah.
Okay.
Pusha's moved him too. Like, Pusha's moved him too.
You got Pusha over Prodigy at this point.
Mike, the guys that you named that have a solo album with a group and have a solo album as an MC are top 10 caliber MCs, because it's hard to pull that feat off. It's hard to make a classic with a group and then make a classic as a solo artist. It's a rare feat. It's like doing the French Open Wimbledon turn in tennis, or it's like fucking winning the gold medal, like, while you playing all four mates. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's some other shit when you do that. Yeah, it's some other shit. So it's like, yeah, I got to start evaluating him differently, even though he's my guy. And it's like, I've had him locked in a certain space for so long because he hadn't made a solo classic record. I hadn't thought about elevating him since Daytona.
Well, Sean Price is my guy too. So, you know, I don't know, man.
Sean Price.
I love Sean Price, but, you know, we're going to have to see. You know, and
Mike, I love Sean Price too, and I don't even know if he's gonna make my top 50. Mike, where Mos Def at? You feel what I'm saying?
Because I love Mos Def, man. Don't do that to me, man.
Hold on, can you put Mos ahead of Meth?
I would.
Mike, what's the... Hold on. Has he made a record bigger than Bring the Pain? Like, Meth has all-time great hip-hop verses. Does he have a... Like, Mike, Method Man still got Cream and Ice Cream under his belt hook-wise, too. It's like, don't be so quick to say that most...
Okay. All right, you're right. You know what? If we sit there and break this down, yes, Method Man has to be ahead of Mos, but I personally think that Mos is a better MC when he's on his thing. But there's not... It's kind of like the Black Thought thing. It's not many people...
I'm about to say, when he's on his thing, he's in that circle with Black Thought and Nas and Rakim. And...
So, yeah, Method Man probably is ahead of him.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's just due... Yeah.
I mean, Mike, Umi says in mathematics and Miss Fat Booty ain't going to carry, like, you into the top 25.
I agree. You're right. All right, well, yeah, I'm looking forward to this list next week, man. And everybody else tune in to us next week, man. Appreciate y'all in the room and hollering at us. Go subscribe to the YouTube page on According to Hip Hop and go check out some of the older episodes, because I know some of y'all were in here talking about some things we already covered, but it's all out there on YouTube. I'll holler at you next week. Great show, Coop.
Salute.